It started on a quiet Tuesday night, the kind of night where the street lights hum, and you think maybe you'll get home without anyone noticing you. Marcus Lane had just left a youth center on the edge of town, sweat still clinging to his shirt from an evening of mentoring kids who'd been written off just like he once was. He wasn't rich, he wasn't famous, but in that moment he felt like he mattered. He had given them words about hope, about patience, about not giving up when everything seems fixed against you. He carried those words with him as he slid behind the wheel of his old car. But hope only carries so far when the lights go red and blue behind you. He saw them flare in the rearview mirror, that sick, heavy feeling dropping in his stomach, and he whispered to himself, "Not again." Out of the cruiser stepped Officer Brian Kessler, a heavy-set cop with a smirk baked into his face. "License and registration," he barked, but it wasn't a question. He leaned down, eyes scanning Marcus like a broken appliance. "Driving through here at night, huh? Smells like trouble to me." Marcus kept his hands glued to the wheel, speaking slow, careful. "I didn't do anything wrong, sir. My lights are working. You can check." But Brian wasn't interested in lights or rules. He tore through Marcus's car, tossing gym shoes, papers, even a bottle of water onto the asphalt. Then with a flick of his wrist, he slipped a small white packet under the back seat. Marcus saw it. His nails dug into his palms, but he stayed still, tasting blood where he bit his lip. Across the street, hidden behind a tree, a young journalist named Naomi Shaw had been walking home from an assignment. She froze, phone already in hand, camera rolling. She caught the packet drop, caught the sneer, caught everything. Later, she'd say she didn't even think about it, just knew if she didn't film it, nobody would ever believe it. 2 nights later, Marcus stood alone in a county courtroom. No lawyer, just him, a stack of papers, and the truth. Across from him sat Kessler, crisp, uniform polished badge, lying smoothly into the microphone. Reckless driving, drugs under the seat, resisting arrest. Each word like a blade. Judge Harrington, stone-faced on the bench, kept nodding, waving off Marcus's attempts to show the video. "We don't admit unverified footage here," he said flatly. When Marcus's turn finally came, he laid out his timeline, his clean test results, his work at the youth center. He stayed calm, steady, even as the gallery whispered. And then he looked Kessler dead in the eye and said, "You know what you did? You planted that. You can't hide it forever." Kessler snapped. He slammed his hands on the table, veins bulging, and hissed, "People like you always got excuses." Judge Harrington tapped his gavel once, but didn't really mean it. And then the moment that would ricochet around the world, Kessler lunged across the aisle and drove his fist into Marcus's face. A heavy, brutal punch that echoed off the wood-paneled walls. Blood splattered onto the tile. The room went dead silent. Marcus staggered but didn't fall. He wiped the blood from his lip, eyes steady, and said low enough for everyone to hear, "You just hit the wrong man." Phones shot up, flashes blinked. Someone gasped. It was like the world tilted right then. Before anyone could process it, the courtroom doors slammed open. A line of U.S. Marshals in dark suits swept in their shoes, hammering the floor like a drum roll. The lead marshal's voice cut through the tension. "Marcus Lane is not a civilian defendant. He is a newly appointed federal judge under seal." The gallery gasped. Judge Harrington went pale. The marshals laid down sealed documents bearing the Justice Department's seal proof. Kessler's face collapsed. All that arrogance drained out, replaced by panic. "No, no way," he stammered, backing up, hand twitching near his belt. And then in a frenzy of rage and terror, he yanked his service pistol and leveled it at Marcus's chest. The gallery screamed. Phones shook. Marshals raised their weapons but held fire. Marcus was in the line. Marcus didn't move. He stood tall, blood still on his mouth, eyes fixed on the barrel pointed at him. "Justice doesn't bow to your gun," he said quietly. Kessler's finger trembled on the trigger. The whole room held its breath, and then a single shot cracked through the air from somewhere off to the side, shattering the window. The bullet hit Kessler in the shoulder and then the chest. He dropped the gun, eyes wide, collapsed in a heap at Marcus's feet. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then the screaming started. Some people fled, others kept filming. The judge sat frozen, sweat pouring down his brow. Naomi kept her phone steady, hands shaking violently, whispering, "Oh my God, oh my God." That night her video went online. By dawn, millions had seen it. The punch, the smear of blood, the gun, the shot, all of it raw, undeniable. Hashtags exploded, streets filled. Protesters painted Marcus's words, "You just hit the wrong man," on cardboard signs, murals, and t-shirts. For the first time in years, people of every age and color marched together. Meanwhile, investigators poured into Kessler's precinct. Boxes of complaints came out, broken ribs, slammed car hoods, planted evidence, a whole career of violence hidden under paperwork. And then the real bombshell, a leak of emails and memos tying Kessler's protection to a network of state politicians who had quietly buried complaints, calling it maintaining order. It wasn't a bad apple, it was a machine. Naomi barely slept. She posted clip after clip, victims telling their stories, old complaints matched to new faces. Her footage became a sword cutting through years of denial. Marcus stayed silent. No interviews, no hashtags, just letting the facts breathe. His restraint made him bigger, not smaller, like a mountain letting the storm break against it. In Washington, senators scrambled, hearings convened overnight. Civil rights leaders invoked his name alongside past martyrs and survivors. In small towns, people who had never marched before now carried signs. "Justice has no color," scrawled on bed sheets, banners, and children's backpacks. Weeks later, Marcus finally agreed to speak. Not on TV, not in Congress, but on a simple stage in a public square. No bodyguards, no teleprompter. Just him, a mic, and tens of thousands pressed shoulder to shoulder. He still had a faint purple bruise on his cheek. He looked out at the crowd, breathed deep, and began. "I know why you're here," he said softly. "You want to know what happened to me. But this isn't about me. I survived. That's the only difference. Out there, too many people never got this far. They didn't have a Naomi with a phone. They didn't have marshals show up in time. They didn't have a badge waiting to shield them. They were silenced, buried, forgotten. I'm standing for them." He paused, scanning faces wet with tears and sweat. "Don't turn me into a symbol just to forget the reason. Ask why it took a video for anyone to believe me. Ask why a cop can throw a punch inside a courtroom and still feel untouchable. Ask why skin color still decides who's a suspect and who's a citizen. Because until we face that, nothing changes." The square was silent, even the babies on shoulders quiet, like the air itself was listening. Then Marcus's voice dropped lower, steadier. "I'm not here to win anything. No one wins while injustice still lives. But we can stop looking away." A wave moved through the crowd, not applause yet, just a low murmur like wind over grass. He finished with 5 words, plain and devastating. "Justice has no color." The roar that followed was less cheer than release, years of tension breaking loose. Some cried, some raised fists, some simply closed their eyes and whispered, "Thank you." Naomi stood at the edge, phone down, and for once, notebook against her chest. People still argue about what happened in that courtroom, who fired the shot, what it all means. Some try to rewrite it, clip it, spin it. But the footage exists. The bruise on Marcus's face exists. The crowd exists. A whole country saw something it can't unsee. And that's where we leave it, not wrapped up in a bow, but wide open. What do you think if a man can be punched in the face inside a courtroom on camera, in front of a judge, and it still takes a bullet and a viral video to get justice? What does that say about us? Drop your thoughts below. Tell your own stories, because the next time the phone might be yours, the witness might be you, and the choice to look away or press record could change everything.